Hi, my name is Rich. I use the he, him pronouns, and you're watching my YouTube channel where we play amazing tabletop role-playing games with friends. This is part of Star Wars Saturdays, which is an anthology series of games that I've been running for over 3 years now, where every month I sit down with members of the Gauntlet community. The Gauntlet is this community of online friends and fans of small press, indie, and OSR tabletop role-playing games. And every month I'll post up a different RPG system that is not officially licensed for Star Wars because I'm just obstinate like that. And sometimes I have to hack or reskin it just a little bit to make it work in Star Wars. Folks from the Gauntlet will RSVP and then join me. We'll create characters. And then for that month, we tell a story that exists within Star Wars. We have a general loose timeline that we've followed. At this point, we're kind of near the Mandalorian TV series time frame. So it's a bit of time after Emperor Palpatine has died in Death Star 2, which is in Return of the Jedi. I don't know if this was officially called Death Star 2 in like the world of Star Wars, but everywhere in Wikipedia calls it Death Star 2, so I do. But I would imagine that Palpatine would have come up with a more grandiose name for it, but that's fine. He's dead. We don't have to care. This month, here in February of 2021, we are playing a game called MoonPunk, which I first found out about during a sale a few months ago on DriveThruRPG. Come to find out that there was a very successful Kickstarter for it, that a member of the Gauntlet community did the layout for the book, and I really fell in love with it as I brought the designers on to Plus One Forward, a podcast I do about Powered by the Apocalypse games. So, of course, MoonPunk is a PBTA game. It is The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, the RPG, kind of, sort of. So it's got a very punk aesthetic, hence the name. I've reskinned it to be a moon in Star Wars. No, not the moon of Forest Moon of Endor. Sorry, that would be a totally different kind of punk. It's a moon of a planet called Belthu. You know, like, what's Belthu? I've never heard of it. Don't worry, I found it on a map. And then I found out that, sure enough, there's an entry for it on Wikipedia that turned out to be really fortuitous. Belthu leads into part of the expanded universe that I'm utilizing currently. I try to, like Disney, only use the parts of the expanded universe that are exciting to us. And so the only thing you really have to know are the original trilogy of movies. If you haven't seen that, why are you here? Go watch that instead. It's way better. But Mandalorian is helpful for folks to have kind of an idea of a Imperial remnants, the fall of the Empire, all of that cool stuff. So Belthu happens to be at the very edge of what's called Zsinj's empire. In the expanded universe, there was a Moff, like a Grand Moff by the name of Zsinj. Look him up. He actually has a Twitter account that's active. It's hilarious. But Warlord Zsinj declared himself the warlord of the Empire after Palpatine died. He refused to give up the fight. So he's effectively like an Imperial remnant, not unlike Moff Gideon from Mandalorian. Except Warlord Zsinj is very successful, and the area of space that he occupied for a while is one of the things that I'm using on our map. And when I looked at the map, I saw this planet called Belthu right on the edge, and I said, hey, that planet has a moon, and that's where MoonPunk is going to be set. So I've tried to use as much of MoonPunk as I can, including the idea that on this lunar colony, the air is not breathable by humans or near humans, regular species. So their oxygen content is not good enough for folks to live on. You have to throw on vac suits, and if you want to go outside of the 13 domes that are part of this lunar colony. And there's some other stuff that we'll talk about, but let's quickly jump over to talk about safety, because that's super important. So for this game, we are using what's called lines and veils and ask first. A line means that this is a line we will not cross. It's not something we're interested in having in our story. So I won't be introducing it as the MC. And if someone else introduces it, I'll gently remind you, hey, I think we have a line against that. Let's cross that out. The things that we have determined as lines is harm to animals, harm to children, and then sexual assault, violence, or coercion. Veils are things where we're okay if this exists, but we don't want to shine a spotlight on it. We'll do a quick, like Lucas style screen wipe, or we may fade to black when these pieces of content do seem to come up in our story. And that's for homophobia and sexual content. And then the last thing is ask first. That's where it's very contextual. People can be very sensitive about these certain things. So the way in which this content could be brought forth is a thing where if you've got an idea about that could involve any of these three things that we have an ask first on, check in with the table as players. Like, hey, I've got an idea that it could be this. And then we as players will make a quick determination. If any one person says, can you try it a different way? Then please do just remove that off. So the ask firsts are, and I'll just be honest with you, I stuck this in here, midichlorians. And then ask first on racism or speciesism in slavery. Now, I will let anyone watching know that I have checked in with the group about my kind of content warning for speciesism is that this is dealing with the Empire. Therefore, there is kind of some inherent speciesism that lays in the background. It's not something that I'm going to be throwing out speciesist slurs, but that it's kind of the foundation of the Empire. Like, how did this Chiss get in here? But otherwise, it's all humans, baby, in the Empire, because that's the way they like it. And everybody seems cool with that contextually. However, here's the cool thing. On top of lines, veils, and ask first, we have a super thing called the X card. So if for whatever reason you feel uncomfortable, something's harshing your fun, this is not the Star Wars you signed up for, before you check out, before you stop having too much fun, just say, hey, Rich, I need to X card something, or just type it in chat, or any way that you can communicate to me something's being X carded. We'll pause play. I'll check in. You don't have to defend yourself. You don't have to explain why, because it's probably, well, hopefully not, but it could potentially be traumatic enough for you to even have to use the X card. I don't want you to feel like you have to be put on the spot any more than that. So I may ask, what was it if it's not clear to me? Or I may say, hey, are you X carding this thing that I did or this thing that just happened? If so, then we excise it from our play and then we continue on. No fuss, no muss. And if it's enough, we may take a quick break, let everybody kind of take a step back. We'll do that based on how I read the situation or what you communicate to me, because you guys having a good time is way more important than any Star Wars shit that we're making up. Like, for real. It's just a game. So, with all of that out of the way, we're going to go around the horn on our snazzy character keeper so the folks can introduce themselves and then tell us a bit about their character. And after we do that, we'll do links and then we'll take a break. So, Steven, I'm going to start with you. I'm putting you on the spot. Welcome to the game. Introduce yourself and tell us about your character.
Sorry, I was double muted. I got it. Hi, I'm Steven. I use the pronouns he, him. Today I'm playing Nuli Stas, she, her. Nuli is an Alderanian and was actually on a ship whenever the planet was destroyed. And therefore her ethos is life is transitory. Nuli is a techie playbook and has a droid R7. And she also is, she's one of those kind of self-taught kind of people who just grabs things and puts them together as best she can in order to get something that's working.
That sounds really fun. Thank you so much. Will, you're up. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your character.
Hi, my name is Will, pronouns he, him, unlike those of my character Vasya Besh, who is she, her. And Vasya Besh is a politician. She is a human. The Besh family used to have, I think a fairly big, corporate interest in Republic space, but during the Clone Wars, they were caught between the Separatists and the Republic, and then further crushed by the Empire until everything has shrunk until the last holding of the Besh is here on Belthu, and Vasia Besh is a representative of whatever minor corporate interests, give her the position of being the politician here.
Very cool. I'm excited to see this character in play. The politician is not one when I think of a bunch of punks running around disrupting the authority. So very excited. And then Francisco, welcome. Very excited to have you as part of Star Wars Saturdays for the first time. Please introduce yourself and tell us about your
Thank
character.
you. Excited to be here. I'm Francisco. I use he, him pronouns. I am playing the Enforcer playbook, which is essentially the muscle. I am playing a Deveronian named Tassa, because he is the guy that you call when things get rough and tumble in a bar, and you need to throw some folks from hither to dither. I picture him being sent to Belthu, maybe because he has sort of rattled the establishment in other planets, and he's just a wanted man. And if we are going by sort of the moonpunk mythos, right? Those who get sent to the moon, they can't leave because their bone density, right, gets all messed up. And so he didn't get executed because that would make him a martyr. And so I think they shipped him off to Belthu, which is also his theme song. Instead of I'm shipping up to Boston, it's I'm shipping up to Belthu. So a little punk rock there for you.
Nice.
Yeah. So just like the song says, he also has a wooden leg. And he, because of his crimes, the Empire filed down his horns. The Veronians usually, I know, they look like big demon dudes, but they filed off his horns. And there's way for him to like grow it back. There's ways in the Star Wars universe to do that. This is what I picture. But he purposely keeps him filed off as like his like punk way of like rebellion. Like, you thought you were going to keep me down. I'm not going to grow these back on purpose. So
That is pretty punk. Let's go ahead and start with Tassa, and let's have you do some links. What do you guys think? Maybe one link per person would just go like that?
Sure.
Right. Cool. So take a look at the links that you have, Francisco, and then see if there's one you'd like to offer to the others.
Yeah, I am going to look at Vasia, and that's how you pronounce it? Yeah, Vasia? Will, did I pronounce that correctly? Vasia?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Yes, I just have not yet to key into that as a name yet. So you said it, I was like, "Who's Vasia again?" Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. So I'm gonna say that I feel obligated to keep Vasia safe. And Will and I spoke a little bit about setting up our characters as in like I am Vasia's bodyguard. But there's certainly some sort of like actual relationship there, and part of me is tempted to just go with the classic like Wookiee type life debt, but I would like to go somewhere else with that. Will, do you have any ideas?
Because you believe I'm the one who's going to keep, to kick the Empire off, Belthu?
Yeah, I think so. I think it would be very punk to be like an idealism thing, right? Yeah.
Oh, I know it. It's maybe like by keeping me safe, you'll earn the right to grow your horns back, like as a sort of penance, like a sort of idealism and penance together. Sort of like you believe that I'm the thing that will earn you the right to be a full Deveronian again, kind of.
Yeah, I like that. I will say that like I don't like talk about this publicly.
Oh yeah.
but you know, Vasya, that like if we can overthrow the empire off of Belthu and like we can be successful in our career, then or in our mission, then I will go ahead and allow my horns to grow back. So
Yeah.
yeah, cool. I like that.
Nice. That is really cool. Awesome. So then, Will, aka Vasya, what do you have?
I'm going to throw out to, I think, to Nully. Either I help you out of a jam or you screwed this person over. Because I think those are interesting ones to have, right? Either way, like a debt is incurred one way or the other, like, but it refers, it's either you owe me or I owe you, basically. Which I like.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think of. Do you have one you're leaning towards?
Probably I screwed this person over and asked them how, and the one that springs to mind for me is that I have like political influence, right? Like I'm part of this corporate infrastructure. I am the most acceptable face of punk and subversion that there is on the thing, right? I threw you under a bus somehow, you know, like I didn't look out for your interests in the longer term, you know. So maybe like I denied you a job or a contract or had your parts confiscated, or you know what I mean, something like that. Like
Yeah. So I think I did some work for you that was really, a stretch for me, and I'm really proud of it. And you gave credit to a competing shop that they build really nice stuff. I build janky stuff, and this was sort of like a work of art for me. I was like, oh, I took my time with this.
oh yeah, I passed your work off as somebody else's to earn, you know, to secure a contract, right? Like, you know, to secure like more greater in whatever access resources that I can bring to bear from the empire.
And if I may, I think I could see you justifying that because it's like, well, I don't want to open up my association with this janky shop, right? But yeah, so it's
Oh,
justified in not bringing attention to me, but
I rationalize this in all kinds of ways, of course.
yeah,
You
but
know,
I
like,
resent it. I'm like,
yes.
yeah.
That's wicked. Very, very cool. Cool. Let's name this other shop that you gave credit to.
You know what? I'm even going to say it's the Best Tech shop, my own companies. I outsourced, you know, whatever, and I feel like I'm not like directly in the day to day of Best Tech, right? You know, I'm more like a community figure kind of thing. But the community figure in this setup is a corporate board, essentially, isn't it? You know, so like I boosted Beshtech's profile by getting you to do work and then saying that this is the kind of work that Beshtech can produce.
So do you have plans for any of the NPCs at this point, Rich?
Not really. Why? What are you thinking?
Just to pull them in, can we say that Toro is the head of this Beshtech group?
Oh man. Okay. We could say that. That sounds
How
cool.
does that fit, Will?
That's fine, yeah.
I mean, that just gives us something to point at.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and we beat it beat the Yoshigawa Corporation. Yeah. Won a contract off Yoshigawa on the basis of this.
Man, Yoshika's not happy about that. That
Well,
is good. I like
that's
that.
my rationalization as well. You know, it was more important. It wouldn't
there
have
we
worked otherwise, you know? Like,
very cool.
cool.
Good.
Okay.
All right. Stephen, aka Newly.
Yeah. So the one I'd like to point is at Tassa. You sometimes fix their things. I honed in on whenever you said you had a wooden leg.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a move that's transhumanist, so I make cybernetics and that kind of stuff. Can we say that I made your leg, but you from your Deveronian past, culture were like, I can't, I'm not going to wear that metal thing, so I had to make some kind of construction out of wood.
It has to be like more organic than
Yeah,
just metal. I really like that.
And it's not great, right?
Mhm.
Because it's not great for some reason, so I have to fix it occasionally.
Yeah, I imagine it needs like repairs often because it's not all metal. I mean, we'll say like it's some, right? Because
Oh,
it is Star Wars, right?
it wears down.
Yeah,
It just
it
wears
wears
down, and I have to replace parts occasionally.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I even picture you like complaining about it. Like I don't know why you don't just, switch over to full metal, every time I come in, and
Yeah.
yeah,
I
that's
wouldn't
awesome.
have to do this if you had a proper leg.
Right, right. And I see Tassa as being like someone who's just really willing to die for their ideals. So I think like the wooden leg has to maybe represent something, maybe something about being Deveronian or something about the Empire. Maybe I'll explore that a little bit later, but I really like your idea.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right. Since we're doing snake order, then Stephen, let's have you do your second one.
So one that springs out to me is you've done some shady work for this person in the past. Ask them what invention or skill of yours they help them set out, and that fits really well for Vasya, because that's what we just kind of defined. Some shady work. So let's go into a little bit more about what this shady work would have been.
I think helping me divert funds off the books from this contract to fund the rebellion, to fund our resistance movement. Is I've embezzled from the corporate board,
Yeah, that makes sense. That's good.
Okay. Cool. So then now we're to the middle, which means that it is time for Vasya to figure out a link.
I think I would like to throw the I helped Tosa out of a jam before. Ask you what did I do?
I think you found a way to legitimately. Okay, let's back up, because Vasya, like you are the face of the revolution, right? But you also are a politician, so having.
I mean, I'm the face of the revolution in the sense of like I'm a public face that can advocate. You know what I mean? And I have like sway and things like that. But I think that a lot of my role is based around that they don't know that I'm as deep into the resistance as I am.
Right. Like Princess Leia, you had said. Yeah. So I think we have to find a way to justify in the fiction, why you keep a scary, non-horned, very blatantly against the man and the system. Like, why do you keep them on the payroll? And so I think what you got me out of trouble before is essentially poverty. Like, you've given me a job and take care of me. And so I think our relationship is not only like relational, but also and like an idealism sort of connected, but also just functional. Like you make sure that I'm not homeless.
I like that. I mean, maybe like, I mean, if when Tosa came to Belthu, right, they didn't have much, right, and it's not a system that but you have to help each other out, right? And I saw like that, get back on your feet and you'll stand strong and like help us turn this whole thing upside down.
Yeah, I think that maybe you help Tassa to like give Tassa direction, because Tassa has like a lot of energy but is not very smart. And so I think like maybe you caught me at a brawl or at a bar brawl, and it's like, okay, look, you need to hang out with me and I'm going to point you in the right direction. Like,
oh yeah, definitely. I mean, that bar brawl got broken up by the Imperials when they were about to drag you off and put you in detention. I was like, no, he works for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And if it's cool with you, I like the idea of like people just sort of disapproving of it, and maybe and you saying like, no, he's like the best, but also like you're constantly sticking up for me and justifying why I'm your personal bodyguard. So,
oh yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I like it.
Cool. Yeah.
So I know it's PC to PC, and we are developing a link here, but I just wanted to check in. I'd love to suggest engaging the Tonstoffel system. It sounds like maybe we could actually mark that as a debt between the two of you.
Yeah, I'm up for that.
You guys okay with that?
I am okay with that. Yeah. So
Cool.
that would be the middle tier, yeah?
Yeah, I think major is
Yeah.
probably a good way to go with it.
Yeah, I think so too.
Cool. All right, then now we are to Tosa figuring out your link with Newly.
Okay. I've gotten one here. You've gotten in trouble with the authority before together, or and this is at Newly, or the two of you are childhood friends. Do either one of those sound interesting, Stephen?
I like that we've gotten in trouble before.
Okay.
So you guys just talked about a bar fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if I was on the other side of that bar fight, and that made us best friends? Like we were like, fine, I'll knock you out. We'll take care of this, and then this would have been before your leg was replaced.
Mm-hmm.
And we got in a bar fight, and then basically they pulled us off, the two of us. We were put into the. Did you, Vasya? Did you prevent us from going to jail?
I'm imagining it as you two were literally pulled off each other, right, as the Imperials came in, and then I vouch for Tosa, and then Tosa spits out some blood and vouches for you as well, and gets you pulled out of the thing, right?
It's like she can fight. She's coming too. That's awesome. What's funny about that, Stephen, is that you've gotten in trouble with the authority before together, and you've gotten into a physical tussle with this person before. And how did that affect your relationship? Well, we became best friends because of that. That's awesome. Cool.
That is really cool. Good. Does that then everybody should have a link with every other player character, right? Oh, awesome. Let's take a break, friends, and we'll be back. All right, we're back. We are going to jump into some MoonPunk play for our remaining hour and 20-ish minutes. I do like to stop a little bit early, so probably a little bit over an hour is what we'll go. So the first question that I have is a little bit of background question here vis-a-vis Vasya Besh, who we've established is this politician, relatively well known, but also known as a punk. And because just so I had this on recording, because we have a fourth player who'll be joining us next week, there was a question of like, do you have any tats or anything? What identifies you as a punk? And what was the answer for that for Vasya?
Vasya has, worked her way up. She's got the name Besh, but it doesn't mean much in Besh tech. And she has spent a lot of her time like working her way towards this position in work crews, different areas of the business. She's worked in mining, 0G, etc. And she's got like work crew tattoos that spiral around like her upper biceps and across the shoulder blades. And she usually keeps those hidden in a smart corporate wear for the day-to-day job. But when she's in the bar and the gigs and the rallies and things, you can see them.
Nice. Now, when you said she's been here for a while, right? Worked at all the unions. Did you grow up on Belthu, which is, but we're on the planet of, I think we called it Woth. So we're on the moon Woth, which is officially known as like B7. Did Vasya grow up on Belthu, which is the planet this moon is attached to?
I think she grew up on Belthu, but has spent a lot of her life here on B7.
Okay, so you grew up going to school with Rika Somyan. Rika is now a politician just recently here on Woth as well, but the two of you grew up attending the same school. Rika took off for a number of cycles, going gallivanting around the galaxy, sending back lots of humble brags about the crazy things that she got into. Recently, she bragged about finding some weird egg. But now she's here on Woth and immediately was installed as a lunar politician responsible for like business stuff for Dome 13. Now, Dome 13, if you guys take a look at the domes, is the largest. It's actually known as Praxis Dome. It was the second dome founded on this colony, and it's the hub of government control, kind of, the home of the authority, as we call it. So there is within this lunar colony, within Woth, there is an official like Belthu authority, and then the peacekeeping is done by the Empire. Technically, this is on the border of what is Warlord Zsinj's territory and not. But I think if you squint hard enough, it's Imperial as all get out, because there are stormtroopers all around. Does that make sense, that jive?
Yeah, I'm imagining it's basically like, it's kind of cyberpunky, like in the corporates are sort of like taking over the public services, right? But they're all getting paid by the Empire, and they're doing it for the Empire has outsourced other stuff to these corporates and things, right?
And then, so you and Rika know each other from childhood, but of course you've been apart for a while. She's come back in here, handed a position. She's immediately starting to get on the local holonet and talk about cleaning up Dome 13. And how's your relationship with her as we start, Vasya?
I mean, when she talks about cleaning it up, what does she mean by that?
Great question. So there is here at what's called Tranquility Park, which is the largest park in Dome 13, therefore making it the largest like public park in all of Woth. There's a group that's called Punks with Lunch. It's an event. And the Punks with Lunch is the idea of people get together and they actually provide food to some of the homeless folks and the like. And Rika's stuff she's talking about is that, like, these homeless folks, there are shelters for them. They don't really need to be out here with their diseases affecting the good people who are here, who pay their taxes in order to have this park. So that's Rika's cleanup.
Well, then, no, I'm not. I think that there's still like, like some sort of old bond there, right? But Vasya has, made it very clear that, she stayed behind. She's like, I'm imagining like all of that work was like kind of like an exec fast track kind of scheme, to get to this point within it, right? Like work the system against itself angle. And she's like, you go to the core worlds, you swan off to the core worlds, you come right back here, transplanted, but you've forgotten how things work, Rika. They don't work sometimes. People fall between the cracks, and we've got to keep them, and you cleaning it up is looking real dirty to me.
Ooh, nice. So, I have a thing for both Tosa and Nuli in just a moment, but let's like circle this right into Vasya, and you and Rika are currently at a nice outdoor cafe. The two of you sat down for some food. Tosa, you're probably nearby, right? But maybe you're not actually sitting down to eat with them. But Rika, she listens to you, Vasya, and she says, "Yes, I understand what you're saying, Vasya, but you have to think about who are our constituents and who is it that benefits, right? People who vote are the people who have homes. The people who have homes are the ones who want to be able to utilize that park. We have a bunch of homeless people that come in there. It makes people uncomfortable. So I'm all for setting up some more shelters, let's say 7, 8, any of those domes, so we can clean up and make it a lot more pleasant for our constituents here in 13 in Praxis."
So you can move the problems away then, Rika. Push them off your books and onto somebody else's, right?
Well, let's be honest. These people are never going to find jobs. They're never going to have homes. So being transient is part and parcel of what they're about. Why not have them in a place where we've set it up for them to be taken care of rather than being in the way.
Well, I can see how you'd feel this way. We talk, transience, something that you know a lot about, right? But when you came back, someone had a home for you. They made it right here on Woth. And it was all just, and I'm going to try and mudsling. I can apply tags to opponents and knock them off balance. And the tag I'm trying to apply to her is I don't know what the word would be for like a recipient of nepotism, like a
Oh yeah, like a hand-me-down, nepotism. We'll just call her a nepotism recipient.
yeah,
That sounds
nepotism.
good.
Yeah, well, nepotism, I suppose, would be the tag.
Yeah,
then,
yeah. All right, roll plus presence.
Okay. Ooh, this is different.
Oh, the party, the roll with me.
Yeah, I haven't seen it like this.
It's pretty
before.
fun. I like it a lot. I hope if you need me to walk you through it, I'm happy to.
No, I like it.
This came from me whining at the the designer, like, it's too hard to build a roll in the new graphic version. He goes, oh, here, let me put these cool dice things. I'm like, oh my gosh, I love this.
Yeah, they are cool. I like it.
Holy cats, that's a good roll.
So they get nepotism as a tag.
Uh-huh. Yep, you may give them an appropriate tag of your choice. So let's go into the NPCs for Rika. And the way in the game it's designated that it's a tag is the brackets. So I'll put nepotism as a tag at the end here for
Yeah, well, the
Rika's
tags these tags only last actions and scenes. I'm wondering if it's worth editing it into the NPC. You know what I mean? Because it won't last for the. You do you, Rich. Obviously like
no,
I'm
that's
saying.
A good point. That's a good point.
You've got. As I say this, I'm like, you edited those photos down. I don't know what I'm concerned about. It's not.
There are times when I'll put a stupid amount of extra work. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, so nepotism is applied for now, and I'd like to immediately roll into that.
What do you want to try to get out of it?
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that's it. I'm just looking at what the social moves actually entail in this game, to sort of work out what the angle would be here. I think it is a influence someone.
Yep, I felt like that's probably where things might go.
Yeah, and I'm going to influence her. I'm going to suggest to her that she should come down. She should meet some of these people. Some of her, because the people without homes are still your constituents. We're still responsible for them as they go out. They're still people of Woth, and they're still, you still have a responsibility. Just because you got shot in at the top doesn't mean that you can't help people up from the bottom, right?
Love it. Oh yeah, roll plus presence.
So that'll be with a whole +3 now that I'm invoking that tag.
Correct.
And I don't know if like helping someone has to be done before or after the roll, but if it's before the roll, I'm close by that like I can be pointed at as an example of someone who.
Oh, that's a lovely idea.
Downtrodden. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Not that I'll get involved, but just used as an example. So.
Now, one of the interesting things about MoonPunk is that help out. It does appear that the idea is that you help out beforehand, but you roll with the associated stats. So presence, cool, smarts, and bones being the 4 stats of this game. Which do you think Tosa is embodying as that example? Is it his presence being there, or
probably the presence? Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm trying to look like what he's describing. So
right, because I don't imagine that smarts or bones would necessarily be a thing. Presence or cool could be that, and I think presence makes the most.
Maybe if I'd said, Tosa, tell her everything that you've learned under my wise benevolence. Like that would be like smart.
Oh Lord,
Tosa would be down with trying to string two sentences together, but I think you should probably take the lead.
Yeah.
So go ahead and roll 2d6 plus your presence, Tosa, and that is 2d6 plus 1. And then on a 7+, you'll be giving a +1 to to Vasia's roll. It means you'll be rolling +4, which is pretty amazing. All right, what'd you get?
Is Toaster rolled? Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
just
so
rolled. There's an 8.
yeah,
so
yeah, no, I think
grab
mine's a
that
little bit
+1.
slower. Yeah.
No, I just now showed up for me. Cool. So that's +4 that you get, Vasia.
Well, that's an 11 then.
That is pretty fantastic. With a 10 plus on influence someone, they'll attempt to do what's asked of them. Rika, she pauses as she has this like little bit of. She ordered Alderani ale. It gets the thing about Alderani ale is that at every glass the price goes up incrementally because it's literally like there's only so much of it. So every sip has a few credits of cost. She sips a little bit and she looks down, looks up, and you can see the sunlight comes down through the dome, and it's very clean. Like there are people who actually will clean the panes of the dome every single day. And she says, "You make a good point, Vasia. You make a good point. When can we do this? I'd like to talk to a few people. Maybe you can gather more of the homeless folks so that I can maximize my ability to meet them from all different walks of life. Tomorrow?"
I'll see what I can do, Rika.
She pulls up her little data pad, kind of skims through like she's looking through her schedule and says, "Well, I'm free from it looks like 11th hour all the way out to 15th. So anytime there, just get in touch with one of my people and like your Deveronian friend and all those folks will have a little event. Maybe I'll bring some paper towels and hand them out."
How generous. When I smile, like, this time I mean it, right? Yeah. And
She
I
pinkies
raise.
out, drinks like the last little bit of her champagne or
I-
Aldrani ale.
Well, I think that she bought us both Alderani
Of
ale,
course.
right? And
Right, right.
I have not touched mine the entire time. I've just been like, and as we smile and thingy, I look at it and like think, and I'm just like, eyes dead as I drink the glass and go out of there. And like as I come past Toaster, I'm like, Griffin's cocking.
Oh, I could tell you weren't liking any of that, boss. I
Nah.
don't like her at all.
And Rika just like stands up. She walks to the curb and a speeder just slides up, and it's a sleek, really nice looking silvery speeder with a driver. And she just opens the doors open for her, and she gets inside and skims away as you're cursing at her and her largesse.
The cursing is very like grit and smile, and don't show it to the world.
Oh,
but
of
if you're
course.
standing right next to me, you can hear the stream of it. Yeah.
She has no idea. She thinks that she scored a coup, and you won a bit there by accusing her of nepotism, and she sees this as an opportunity to gain the favor of some of the people that she hopes to supplant. Newly, I'm really curious. You say you have a shop? Is that right?
Yes.
Cool. So let's pick up at your shop. I think it would be fun to see what Newly is like when she's working. So you don't have to work the mines, right? You're able to keep things going by operating this shop.
Yeah, so I figure that there's a lot of things that need to get repaired here in the
Mhm.
different domes, and some of it's actually outside of the domes, and that's what I use the droid for, is to go outside the domes and work on stuff. There are people that go out in the vac suits and stuff, but that's really
Right.
dangerous. The droid is probably better off to do some of that work.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm able to, cobble together enough repair jobs for the shops and restaurants and that kind of stuff, as well as little side jobs of repairing, actual dome work. Usually that goes to the imperial shops, but sometimes they get overloaded and I can patch some stuff up on my own. That's good money.
Cool. Good money. Awesome. So, yeah, I got this. So you're at, let's say you've sent R8 out to do a bit of a fetch and fix outside the dome, and you're in your shop. How big do you think the space is?
So I don't think, in general, it started out bigger than it is today, and it's gotten much smaller. And there's like walkways through it, and there's bunches of junk that are all over the place and hanging from the ceiling and everything. But I've got a little. The front area where customers actually come in looks almost like an awning or something you'd see at a bazaar. You know, they
Mhm.
come in, but I've got the back just completely full of different pieces of junk and stuff like that.
Cool. There's a chime, which you probably set up some kind of electric eye or something at the front, and
Mhm.
there's a chime that someone has come in. And when you look up, it is none other than your block champion, otherwise known as your landlord, Redar Kalayan. So he's a wealthy man. He owns the worker apartment complexes that are here in 13, and he also happens to own the building that this is part of. And imagining you're like, one of many things that are all connected in this large. I'm almost thinking like Kowloon walled city and the mismatchedness of some of the building.
Exactly.
He comes in and you see like slides his hands behind his back and just looks around at all the different things, waiting for you to acknowledge him.
Right. And I think I'm in the back working on something, and I look up and I see that he's come in, and I curse a little bit under my breath, and set down the spanner I'm working with, and kind of come up to the front, and I've got a big grease mark on my cheek, and I'm like, Redar, yeah, I
Newly. Well, excellent to see you. Brings his hands around, he reaches into one of the pockets on his little cloak. His cloak looks very like formless, but it has lots of little pockets, and he pulls out this crisp white kerchief. It actually has like his initials on it. And he reaches up almost like grandpa-ish in a weird way to like wipe at the grease on your cheek. How you doing, young lady? How are
and
you
where that
doing,
happens,
Newly?
Newly, like, he reaches out as if he's going to touch her, and she stiffens, but it's one of those things you can tell on camera she's stealing herself, and to
Okay.
let him do this. She wipes it off, and how are you doing?
Yeah, he just ignores that. Like he's being generous, he's very nice. Look, he's wiping off this grease on your face. You should keep the grease inside all of these bric-a-bracs and the like that you like to fix.
Well, if the grease stayed inside, then I wouldn't have a job, and I wouldn't be paying you.
Oh, look at you. Here I thought we would have to have a bit of pleasant conversation, but get to the heart of it, don't you, Newly? That's what I like about you. So industrious.
Of course. What's this visit for?
Well, there are a number of recent amenities that have been requested through some ordinances. To cut to the heart of it, I'm going to need to increase your rent by 35%. In order to cover the costs. Of course, I'm taking a bath, as it were. Not that you know a great deal about that, but I'm taking a bath. I'm only passing through a partial of the new fees and all of the like, enough to make sure that this is still profitable for everyone. So 35% increase in rent for your shop. Remember, you've got that entire 3 storage facilities with all of that bric-a-brac that you've collected over the many, many months here.
Well, I'm not sure I'll be able to cover that kind of increase. I might have to sell everything and leave. And then what would you rent this place out for? Uh, what I might be able to do, you said that there were several amenities that needed to come into place. Maybe we could trade. and I could help you install some of these amenities in return for a partial increase for that part of that increase.
He tilts his head to the side as if he's considering it. Seems like you want to convince him to give you something or help you
Yeah.
out here. Yeah,
Yeah,
you're offering
yeah.
something in exchange. Let's have you influence him. Roll
Yeah.
plus presence.
Yeah. Let's see.
You're not great at this.
No, I'm awful. Let's see how that works. That's a 1.
Wow,
Yeah, yeah.
that's impressive.
I think in all my time playing PBTA, I don't think I've seen a 1.
And Newly, you make that offer, and Radar, he takes his little kerchief and he folds it so that the grease is on the inside of the kerchief, and he folds it over a couple of times. And it's like he's really giving this thought. He slides the kerchief into one of his many pockets. I'm so sorry, Newly. I've already secured contracts with several reputable, Toro has already signed a secure contract with me, and Beshtech has the best reputation. I am conciliatory, though. I could put in a good word at Kangdom if you want to move your shop there. If you're unable to afford it, I'm very sorry, but there are other places for you to go. Kangdom's probably the best place for this kind of work, and 13 has always been a bit posh for you, I think.
And I think whenever they mention Toro, she spits a little bit on the ground. And I think they look disdainful at that. And says, well, I do have those 3 storage units, and if I sell the contents of one of them and consolidate down to 2, I can get your money for this month. And if
that sounds wonderful. Just work out the math. And he doesn't care.
Yeah,
he does not care how you do it. He's just like telling you it's 35%. And you start kind of talking through the math. It goes, yes, of course. Well, make sure that all of those credits are transferred by the end of the week. Thank you very much. Thank you, Noli. I've got many other people to speak about this particular bit of business. Good day.
And he walks out. And I think he walks out, the door closes. He starts to walk away, and you can see kind of on the outside, you can kind of see him pass. And she's, sitting there at the counter, just clenched in rage. And then she throws like one of the nearby pieces of junk, and it hits that front window and kind of, she's like, oh.
Nice. I love it. So I'm going to do a quick jump cut to a group scene. I'd like to pick it up at a place called Possum's Joint. And if it's okay, could this be the place where the big fight broke out with the group of you? Awesome. I love it. I just immediately thought of that, but I didn't ask right there because you guys were flowing. So the proprietor of Possum's Joint she's known as Possum. She has the tag always holding. Her ethos is live and let live, but take no poodoo. So Possum is good people. And I think when the troopers showed up and there was trouble, she did the best she could to get everybody out, right? She didn't want anybody getting in trouble. And maybe the fact that Vasia, you were so well known is one of the reasons that you ended up having to kind of front for Tosa and the like.
Could I add to the fiction that Possum's Joint is also a bar / music venue, small music
100%.
venue?
Yeah, absolutely. Possum's Joint is that. Yeah, so tell me a little bit about, Tosa, the music that's playing right now at Possum's Joint as we pick up the scene.
The music is unequivocally punk rock. Specifically, it's a song by a Bith band called the Interrupters, and it is Tassa's favorite song. And the main lyric, or like the opening lyrics of the song, is "Rebel against the kings of Babylon."
Hot. That's cool.
Yeah.
I stuck in a little bit, just a very, very brief bit of info about Possum's Joint in the Domes. Possum's Joint is a dive bar hangout for the punks of Dome 13 with the tag unlicensed. Sweet. So we've got some killer music. Is this like a heavy guitar kind of punk, I imagine?
They are like punk rock ska, so it's a little bit more upbeat.
Nice.
And I think that the fight that like Nuli and I got into is that I broke protocol on the type of like mosh pit this should be. This should have been like perhaps a little bit more lighthearted skanky mosh pit, but Taza was 3 or 4 drinks in and he went in full force, and so that's what started our fight, was in the mosh pit.
Okay, cool. So yeah, this is Possum's Joint is a dive bar, so it actually has a counter. Newly, how far away is Possum's Joint from your shop? Like, is it in the same block kind of deal, or do you think you have to travel for a little bit?
I think it's a little bit of a travel for me. It's not something that I can get, it's not like the patrons from here come down to my shop or anything like that. It's out of the way. But I think I'm here with like a pad and I'm like frantically talking to the people here because they've got a couple in them and I'm like, this right here, you can buy this,
Oh, you're just selling stuff left and right. That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Cool. Vasia, how do you arrive at Possum's Joint?
With a whistle and old greeting to Possum, an old friend, and a nod to a bunch of the people there, and a little little intrinsic like hand gestures and greetings to each of them. Like I just I know everybody and I know how to say hello to everybody, right? And then
Yeah.
I'm imagining the big shadow of Tosser like boom through the door.
I like
and
it.
the Possum like cleaning a glass, like scowling as you come in, kind of thing. Like, yeah.
Sweet.
Ironically, the Shadow of Tassa was also a song that Tassa tried to write. He's not a very he's just not very good songwriter. Although he has taken the mic before. It's mostly grunts and screams. So, and all of his songs are like four lines long that just repeat themselves. So
That's great. So yeah, Vasia and Tosa, you guys arrive. You see that Newly's there. Is Newly the kind of person that would like have people at her table, or is she a pretty solitary person?
Newly?
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, so I think Newly is so she's normally pretty solitary. And I think whenever the other two come in, they see her moving from table to table. So she's going up to other people's table, saying, "Hey, let's move this stuff." "Hey, I know you. You need wheels. You need, this kind of stuff, and I have something." Yeah.
And I think Vasia is just as you're like yeah cool, and you're swiping your data. Vasia is like just stood behind you with a pair of drinks, and you bump into her and she's like, Nully, here, good to see you.
And Newly turns around and looks at you and goes, "Yes, ma'am." And this is a form of sarcasm that we always have.
Yeah.
That I treat you like royalty, and I might even call you, mistress or something like that from time to time. Just
But
to get on your
I think
nerves.
it's got like a bit of an edge to it since
Yeah.
I screwed you over recently.
Well, with that, and because I just think you're too good to come down here and mess with us.
Oh yeah, I like it. And I smile and go, still sore about that job with that thing with Taro, right? I'm sorry. Look, what's wrong? Let me make it up to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I take the pad and I take some little piece of junk. I double the price and I say, right here, this one right here is yours.
What am I gonna do with a carbonite descaler?
Well, um, everybody needs one of those at some point, and I'm just saying this will triple in value if you put it out on the market. I just have to sell it now.
Why do you have to sell it now? What's going on, Lily?
Yeah, you act like you don't know. The higher ups, the people who live in the fancy places are coming down with higher uh, rents for us. And if I don't get rid of this stuff, they're going to toss me outside. You know, like real people, real workers do.
And I snatch that data pad out of your hand, and I'm like, what? Let's see. What's he charging you? Like, and I get like really pissed off at this. This.
Yeah.
I'm like, right. No. This won't do. This won't do at all. No,
Nice.
we're gonna get this sorted, Billy.
Well, you can sort it your way, but I still got to come up with some cash. It's not like we could just, take it from them. I mean, you can't take it from them, can you?
You can take anything from anyone, Lily.
Yeah, I'd like to. Yeah,
They've been taking it from us long enough, right?
I'd love to
It's-
punch them in the face. That'd be great. I think at that point I turn to Tassa and we kind of do the whole, fist bump kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. And punching in the face, it's like, hey, something I can get behind, and like, yeah, definitely.
You know what I am actually going to do to help Nilly now, which doesn't involve overthrowing the entire landlord system of
Mhm.
Dome, is I am going to say like, look, dear, you sit down, have a drink, toss her, click my fingers, and then I'm going to take that data pad and I am going to start selling Nilly's wares on her behalf to the people of the bar.
Ooh. Wow, that is a really cool thing you're doing. It sounds like nice.
Which,
Is is Tassa here, like behind you, beer in hand, being as that like the or else kind of part of your selling pitch?
no, not at all.
No? Okay.
This is just pure.
Okay,
like,
gotcha.
And I think, if it's okay, the two of us actually go get a drink. We sit down, and we kind of cuss a little bit about the man. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
think that you're selling stuff, and Newly looks up every once in a while, and she'll come over and she was like, "You sold that? You can't sell." She just goes and sits back down, and she's like crying in her drink a little bit, like, "Man, this place is gonna kill me."
I think when Newly looks despondent, I think I'm gonna smack Newly and be like, "Hey, beggars can't be choosers. Am I right?"
Yeah, and we see the whole drink just kind of slosh whenever he does that, and it's like, oh,
Nice. I
Whoa,
like that.
careful there, Newly. We all know you have a drinking problem.
So, Vasya, you're moving through, looking at this list, trying to find marks, potential customers.
Yeah.
So I would like to suggest that there is a cool move called Read the Room. So that might be a way that you can help your success rate here.
Yes. The other thing
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about maybe doing
Okay.
is opening up a comlink and ringing Toro and selling some of this stuff off to Toro on Beshtek's dime, basically.
Oh, that sounds good. So you're like pretending that you're selling to these people, but really you're just going to effectively kind of take advantage of your bit, but you've got to do it through Toro. So,
well, yes, and I'm basically like, I'm not saddling any of these like my the fellow comrades, like the other punks with like stuff about I'm getting the best price I can get is by somebody who I don't care about their money, which is Toro. Like,
yeah, no, that makes sense.
because Nilly needs the money, right? Like, it's not like she needs to get rid of the space for other reasons. It's just she needs the creds, so I need to get a good price, which I can't do if with the members of Possum's Bar. You know, like I can't fleece these people. It wouldn't be right. So if I ring up Toro, Toro, I've got a line on some salvage, some reclaimed, some extra material. What's here? We've got a carbonite descaler. You were saying how much you needed one of those.
Yeah, I made a request to Belthu, and they send a brand new one up just the other day.
But then we don't have. But it's not. We have no redundancies, Toro. If something goes wrong, we'll be offline again. We'll be back in the same position, and you know how long it takes for them to get things back out here.
So redundancy on the carbonite descaler, okay? Sure, we can work that into the budget, ma'am.
Great.
Cool. So
I'll place through the order, and you'll put. Yeah, I'll. Shall I roll a influence someone?
Give me an influence. He'll like that one. That's fine, but if you start pushing more, it's definitely you're gonna.
Well, I'd like to say that I've looked somebody in the eyes and lied to them already here, which means I take a +1 on my next presence roll with them.
Oh man, you get a +1 for having lied to them before. They don't know. Is that what you're thinking?
Well, what I'm lying to them about is that this is actually a valuable thing.
When you look someone, I'm sorry, I'm reading it now. That sounds awesome. Yes. Oh, so do we have a hollow of Toro? Awesome, because we got to fulfill that. That sounds good. So Taro's on the little hollow. He's looking at you. You're lying through your teeth now. You get a +1.
And I'm in like a booth with, like an old punk bar booth with like lots of stuff scratched into the sides of the walls and everything, right? And the little hollow on the table of Toro is just flickering away in different colors and things because it's an old janked out one. Okay, so +3 then.
Yeah, you are so good at this.
Oof, but not good enough. Oh wait, no, I didn't. What happened there?
Did it not add your mod?
No.
Yeah, it didn't add your modifier. 1 and a 3, and then 3 would give you a 7.
7, yeah, 7.
Cool. For that 1 that you rolled newly, you get to mark XP. Don't forget that.
Oh, I did not know.
It's XP on a miss.
Oh, okay.
Okay, on a 7, on a 7+, they'll need something extra to convince them. So I think with Taro, he kind of gets what's going on, but he doesn't seem opposed to it. He says, I'm going to have to work some stuff around on the budget. What's really going on here, though, Vasya? I got to say, I recognize a couple of these things.
Just trying to do good business, be a good client and a good employer. Taro, there's been, we had to cut some corners on the last project. Make a few promises. Had to go to some extra lengths to fulfill some promises to Beshtek, and I'm just making sure that that person gets their fair payment.
Okay, cool. So you're letting me know this is for Newly.
Yeah, well, I'm letting him know roughly, and it's also for the thing that he got credit for that he didn't do.
Yeah, that's true. There's that. That's gonna be enough for him to say. So are you saying that if we do this, then that never gets mentioned again?
What gets mentioned?
All right, let me work around some budget. He'll quickly work through, and it's enough to cover Newly's nut for the next month and a half pretty easily.
Oh yeah,
before
and
Newly's gonna have to dig in any harder.
And on Vasya's to-do list, there is now a black mark against the block champion's name. She's coming for him now, I think, at some point.
Redar is he's worth that. So Tosa, I imagine you're near. What do you think of Toro? Like, what's Tosa's opinion of Toro Ipwe Vimy?
What would Tasa know about Toro?
I think Toro is a poser. Like, he's got these tats, but he also works for a tech company. So he's like if Apple did punk, it would be the cleanest punk, and these tats also are, they're really nice, but like none of them are anti-authority. They're just, they're nice. They're nice tats. He looks punkish.
Yeah, I think that answers the question then. Like Tassa is definitely thinks he's a poser, and but also like Tassa is a man of principle, right? Like deep down. And so this guy really cares more about his money than the people or the message or really shattering the authority, right? Is at least what Tassa thinks, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He ingratiates. You see, he's on a hollow, like a hot and heavy hollow call with Vasya, talking through a lot of stuff, and they both work for the same thing. But how do you handle like Vasya's now come into the bar and then gone off to chat with Toro?
I think that um I think that Tassa trusts Vasya, and I could see him doing his best to try to like learn the business side of things, but legitimately hitting a wall and just sort of daydreaming about things. I think if it's okay with you, like I
Mhm.
think he's gonna interact with Newly, right? Or Nully?
Yeah, Newly.
Newly and Possum here, probably more.
Cool.
So I
Yeah.
think Newly's sitting at the table, and you see over her shoulder that Vasya's got a little hollow thing up with Toro on it, right? And Newly has no idea. And I think you shift a little bit to make sure that Newly stays, talking to you and not notice the hollow of Toro.
I like that. I think Tassa would be at least savvy enough to know that. Yeah.
Nice.
I also imagine Tassa being like, oh, hey, Possum, give me the regular, and like Possum being like, oh, your tab is like, you're way deep into your tab. It's like, yeah. So I imagine Tassa probably does some like maybe bouncer work here,
True. Like
whenever
Tassa.
Vasya doesn't
Yeah.
need him. Yeah.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so if this might help you set something up fictionally, but if under Taffel, I think there's a minor debt here
Okay.
at a
Cool.
tab. Yeah.
All right. I like that. Yeah, that sounds really fun. Possum brings it around. She says, yeah, here you go, Newly. You guys, she drops it. The foam just seems like a little flatter. And Tosa, when you take your first drink, you realize this stuff is watered down. Like
Ugh.
she's stretching it. Possum is definitely trying to make this beer last. And you also notice there's more people here, as you guys are now. Newly, maybe earlier you were like, oh god, there's lots of potential customers. You saw faces you hadn't seen at Possum's joint in a while. And you also, the two of you, because Vasya, you'll notice this as soon as you're done with Toro, you recognize that Nebula 6 is here. Now, Neb, she runs a zine called Play Dead Communal. And she actually runs it with a bunch of punks out of the joint. They print info about local shows and stuff that's going on, but they also advertise with Punks with Lunch group, which, Vasty, if you remember, those are the folks that give out food to the homeless. And Nebula, she goes hard for the Punks with Lunch. Like, it's a big thing. And while the zine itself is, it's a zine, like they're making it out of the best way that they can. She actually pays a few extra creds for good art whenever she wants to make it nice. It means a lot to her. Like it's a cause du jour for her. And she's there with the other members of Play Dead Communal's kind of staff, and they're kind of eating some of the crap that's been thrown on the vats to cook up by Possum. And yeah, it's so that's the thing, is the beer seems to be watered down, which is not something Possum does often. You Tosa, you recognize there are a lot more people here than normal in Newly. It's hard to ignore that as well. So, Vasya, do you think maybe once you finish up with Toro, you end up at their table, if that's okay?
Yeah, I end up back at their table. I slide the pad over to Nilly and chink a glass, knock back a shot, and then eyes pan out, like start talking about punks of lunch and how that we need to get ahead of the authority on this one, and make sure they're going to push these people out, and they're doing a good job. They're doing a vital thing that needs to be done. It's time to organize. And then if only anyone who Toro, Tossa, Lily, you know anyone involved in punks of lunch?
Oi. And I point at Neb. It's like, yeah, we should go talk to him. We can set this up here right now.
Lily, I'd owe you one if you'd help out with this.
And Newly, I think whenever you toss the pad back over, kind of looks through it and looks at it and grins real big and takes her drink and says, "Man, I owe you," and shoves her drink in front of you, right?
Okay, nice.
And she's
Yeah.
like, "Thanks. This will cover me for like 5 or 6 weeks. That's great until I can figure something else out. We'll get this. Yeah, so let's go. Yeah, let's go talk to Neb."
Yeah.
Cool.
I think Tossa's gonna lean into Vasya and be like, look, I know you're always cooking something up. So is this really gonna be just us playing show and tell? Or do you have a plan for this meet and greet? And if so, can I destroy something to show?
Oh, we're not quite there yet, Tossa.
Oh,
Just
Vasya.
hopefully we never will be.
All right. So
don't worry, and I pat you on the side, and I'm like, I'm sure there'll be some lifting and carrying of heavy things at some point.
I'll just laugh at that. So
Yeah,
out of
go ahead.
character right now, there isn't another plan yet, right? There's just really setting up the meet and greet.
At the moment,
Okay.
all we know is that Riker is against, and she's publicly running a campaign against them, right? And this is our chance to sort of like bring a directly interaction with it, meet those people, meet those in the context of their thing, and then maybe she backs down and she's just convinced about how good it is. I doubt it, right? But like, we break things after we're taking the reasonable route for the criminal route to come up later, I'm sure.
Tassa's definitely going to try to find a way. He can't, the gears are working hard. How can we have a punk rock show and a meet and greet and destroy some of like the man stuff all at the same time? But it hasn't.
All in good time, Tossa. All in good time. Yeah.
It hasn't crystallized yet. Got it.
Nice. Cool. So the three of you are going to make your way over. So Vasya, you're clever enough. You asked for Newly to come along to speak with Nebula. So obviously there's a reason for that. Newly, what have you done for either Nebula 6 or for the Play Dead communal that they owe you for it?
Nebula and I are exes.
Oh, totally.
And whenever we split,
why'd you break it off?
Yeah, I did her a favor, but it was really distasteful. I think this was, what would that look like? I had to get into some stuff that was Imperial, and I didn't care for it very much. And I think she used our relationship in order to push the group, right? So she used me a little bit.
Did she use you to maybe slice into some Imperial records?
And get some data out of the information that was there. But this is something that it wasn't really a favor. It was too much to ask.
Nice. Now, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure I'm clear. So it was too much to ask because Newly wants to steer clear of the Imperials, or too much to ask because of what they ended up doing with the info afterwards?
It was she put the group before me.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I totally get that. Sweet. So Neb is sitting there with the other members of Play Dead Communal, and she's got a data pad, and they're like moving in some pieces and talking through some of the stuff for the next issue. And that's when Vasya, you arrive with Newly and Tosa. Vasya, what's your interaction with Nebula? Have you guys? I imagine she's not sure she like buys into you yet, maybe. Or do you think maybe you've won her over with something?
I think that she knows of me, right? But she's maybe skeptical, right? But like, there's a good chat. I think there's a good chatter around me in the sort of the thing, right? But like, if you haven't had it yourself, then it's still just as the people's word, right? Like, I don't move in the same circles.
She's moved you. She's moved you from the Torah category, like closer, but you're not there yet. So she glances up and she meets eyes with you first. It kind of brushes her pink hair. She wears these weird little goggles, and her hair kind of, her bangs come over one of her eyes, and she brushes that out, and she sees you, and then immediately her eyes flick over to you, Newly, and she tenses a little bit, looks over at Tosa, and then everything's fine. Like, Tosa's here. It's good. It's all good. So she goes through like 3 completely different reactions, and the rest of the folks all kind of look up as well. The communal is a mix of mostly like, there's a Rhodian, we've got an Athorian, lots of non-humans are part of this particular cadre. And Neb says, "Hey, Vasya, Newly, Tosa, you guys want to buy some ads in the next coming zine? We're working on it."
Well, I was just here to talk to you about an ad, actually. Punks with Lunch. I caught it in the last zine.
Yeah.
So
it's really great. I mean, the Punks with Lunch, it's a great program.
yeah, who's in charge of it? Is that you or?
It's more like a community effort. There's no one person in charge of Punks with Lunch, especially
like
right
it.
now.
I like it. Right now.
Yeah, we're getting some pushback on it. It's okay. Everything will work out. And she's trying to brush you off, like she doesn't trust you enough to like start going over this info.
Let me guess, Sonyan. Oh, sorry, you go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, I think Tosa will take this moment knowing, like, he's socially savvy enough to know that like Vasya isn't like in the inner circle yet, right? And I think I think Tosa is gonna say like, "Oi, we already know." In fact, and I think he's gonna go ahead and tell Neb about how Vasya like went to bat for these guys, and she stuck her neck out there in the hopes that she will consider him a friend, or she will consider her a friend.
Rock on. Give me the influence roll. Anybody
All
want to help her? Help Tosa?
Could I get 2 helps since I have 2 friends?
No, it's like one. I mean, you could both roll help, but then you're only going to be able to take the help from one or the other.
Yeah, I'll roll a help. And this is due to my relationship with Neb, since I'm leading some what's the right word? Some credit, some background to Tosa. So, all
right.
And that would be. Does it matter what stat I pick one?
You just tell us how you feel like which stat best applies.
So I'm definitely not going to try to influence her, because I feel like that's what she did to me.
Right.
And it's not. I'm not really being. I'm not being smart or bones, so I think it's cool.
It sounds good. Okay, so
So
roll
that's
is
a
cool.
+1.
All right.
You're acting casual, like as though you don't even care about.
That's a 9.
Okay, awesome. On a 7 to 9 with help out, you give your ally a +1 to their roll, but you're open to any danger or fire. So Tosa, good luck. You are rolling to influence her, which is your presence. You've got a +1 there, so you get to roll 2d6 + 2.
2d6 + 2. All right.
And the way this actually looks on screen, the help is I put my arm around Tosa. Right? So it's up to it. We will find out if Neb thinks this is jealous or is like, oh, Tosa's okay. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
she
we will.
knows that Toss is okay. This
Yeah.
is about making Vasya look good. So I
Right,
don't know
right.
if you want to maybe put your arm around Vasya.
Oh, maybe that's a better idea. Yeah. So I'll put
Yeah.
my arm around Vasya.
Cool. That's a 9.
Okay, on a 7 to 9 with influence someone, they need something extra to convince them. So let's see what would she need extra to be convinced that Vasya's on the right side? She sees newly Tosa, buddying up. Tosa speaking up for Vasya. Says, well, if Beshtek or you help us with the next print run, then I can tell you a little bit more about Punks with Lunch.
The next print run.
Yeah.
Lily, was there a printer in one of those?
Oh, yeah. It's I can get it working so it really prints up some stuff that looks really
Well,
authentic and janky. Yeah.
Well, Bestek has just come into receipt of a semi-functioning printer.
Okay, that sounds so. Newly, I'll just stop by and pick that up from you sometime whenever you tell me it's ready.
I'll have it delivered.
Oh, and the Ithorian among the group, he just goes, ooh, like he saw that go by. He just makes that low Ithorian, like, oh man, like he can't hold it in. Everybody else just like looks slightly away as Neb just gets shot down. She takes it in stride. She doesn't get mad. It hurts though. It's one of those where she realizes what she had to sacrifice for what she felt was right. So I hear that you and Rika were tight. Now
Yeah.
she's gunning for us. So maybe you get her off of Punks with Lunch's, our ass, maybe?
Yeah, well, that's the plan. That's the plan, Nebs. But these people, their little world, you got to make it look right? All we have to do is make it look worse for them to get rid of Punks with Lunch than it does look for them to and to make it look better for them to keep Punks with Lunch.
Okay.
I've already got her on board with coming down from the ivory tower. See some of the work that you guys do up close, right?
Oh, and the
Yeah.
Rhodian says, yeah, we can kill her then. And everybody looks at him.
Yeah.
He goes, oh, sorry.
Everyone looks at him apart from Toaster, who's like, and then as soon as it all goes quiet.
Yeah. I think Toss is gonna be like, and then like put his hand out, right?
Nice. Yeah, he'll take that.
Listen, this doesn't have to get complicated, right? If we can do this right. You guys are, they like to sell all of that. A better B7, like Praxis Dome, a roof over everyone's head, whatever. We just make it look good for them. And who knows? Maybe we can even get them to throw in.
Maybe.
Take them for whatever they've got, right?
Here's the angle. the part that really sucks for us, her brother Natsuki, he's the food inspector for 13. And since, even though this isn't a business, the fact that Punks with Lunch is giving out food, he can shut us all the way down.
Noxie Sonyan. God, I hope I never hear that name again. What a brat. Natsuki. Okay. Well, I can take care of Natsuki. No problem. And I look over at Tosa and Nully, like, but you think we could get everyone together for tomorrow?
Yeah, I can work through and get some folks to show. I mean, yeah, we just announced that there's going to be a Punks with Lunch. Maybe she gets the chance to be involved in it.
No, at the first chance of like how this is going to go down, Tasa is going to suggest a punk show. Like there has to be music there. We have to bring a band out and get the people out there.
Yeah, I think you throw that out there, and the Ithorian gets very excited. Like,
nice.
Head just kind of nods up and down, and he murmurs something in Ithorian. Yeah, so we could have those the other guys. And what's a punk band that Tosa knows and might like?
The Dorn Krenth. And so, which is, the letters D and K. And so he actually has a denim jacket with a D and K in the back, and lots of patches, on the denim jacket. And their hit local song is "Woth to the Shepherds."
Well, what about D&K? You think my cousin works sound for them? We could pull a little, and then all those, the zinesters are like, yeah, if you can get D&K, okay. So a punk show for some of the folks with Punks with Lunch. Yeah, that sounds.
Yeah, well, maybe in 24 hours might be a bit, one day might be a bit short for that kind. But I like the ambition, Tosa. I am thinking that we can. Look, even better, Punks with Lunch for everyone, right? The park, Tranquility Park, is Woth's biggest outside public space. It's a place for the people, filled with people, and you go there to be with the other people. Punks with Lunch doesn't just offer it for those who can't eat; they offer it for everybody, right? We make it popular. All Rika cares about is being popular. We make Punks with Lunch popular, and that's what she'll want to be.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, tomorrow. And she tells her authority friend, like, reach out right now. We got to get this moving, got to get it mobilized. And Nebula is super into this. You guys feel good, right? You're moving forward. Vasya's plan seems to have some momentum. And as you guys end up breaking up, maybe you're going your separate ways, Neb's gonna reach out and like gently take your arm, Dooley, like she doesn't want you to go yet. Hey, Dooley, got a sec?
And I think Newly looks at the other two and then kind of nods and says, like, it's okay, go ahead. And she sits back down. Is it just the two of us?
It's the group. So she like gets up and she'll say, hey, you want a death stick? And she wants to go like outside into the alley and smoke.
Yeah. So I'll definitely go outside into the alley. Remind me, death sticks, narcotic death sticks are cigarettes?
That's a good question. I don't know. They were referenced in the prequels, the one guy who was selling. By the way, the name of that character is really weird, but
I always just think it was cigarettes,
I always thought it was cigarettes as well. So yeah, like a cigarette, maybe you lace it with a little bit, of some kind of thing, but I think on general, it's just a cigarette.
Perfect.
Cool. So you head out to the alley. Tosa, when you're headed back with Vasya, the punk music has gotten a little bit more lively. There have been people dancing, and there's a Zabrak named Krombon Eileen.
Oh, cool.
And Krombron like bumps into you. He's as big as you are. He's got a horn that was broken off, but he has all his horns. And when he bumps into you, he's like shirtless. He's all sweaty. So you get that like nice Zabrak sweat goo on you for a moment. He looks at you and he's got just at a glance, the guy's working off his buzz, but he is buzzed and angry too, like that angry buzz. And he goes, "Oh, hornless." And then he utters out this little like dishonorable curse in Zabrak, but you happen to know what it means, or you can tell from the context. What do you do?
I think Tasa is gonna take this as a chance to have a good old-fashioned bar brawl, but not like nobody's gonna get killed is the plan, right?
Sure. You want to throw down with this guy?
Yeah, I think he's gonna push him back. Like, "Oi, who do you think you are?"
Cool. So you like shove him back, and he
right
like,
away.
He's like rubber bands, comes up with a like fist high. He's coming at you. He was looking for this. He wanted this.
Yeah, and Tasa's not gonna back down from a good old fashioned bar
Sounds
brawl.
good.
So.
Sounds
yeah.
good. Roll
right.
bones. Roll your bones because you're throwing down.
Rolling with bones. Let's do this. Modifier is 2. Ugh, 7.
Ooh, okay. On a 7+, you deal and take established harm. Harm for this would probably be like just like 1 harm. It's just punches, right? So you'll take a harm. He takes a harm. But I think what happens is like he punches you. You take it fine. Do you punch him back or do you shove him down? What is your response?
I think Tasa is gonna do his signature move, and he's gonna like grab him by the groin and like here, right, and get ready to like, because Tasa, that's what he does, right?
That's what he does, yeah.
That's what he does, and I think he's gonna lift him up, but like he is so big and heavy, I think Tasa's actually gonna like fall and get squished by him and take the harm that way.
That's awesome. So you like fall on top of him. There are a few people like stomping feet around you. Nobody's really made space yet because it's happened so quick.
Yeah,
Bossy,
I think if it's okay, if it's okay with you, I think like we like had a rope dope, right? And like we moved like right into like you said it's a little bit more lively, right? So maybe there's like some Star Wars ska playing, right? And we have like moved onto the mosh pit, and like it has become part of like, the bodies.
Nice. Yeah. And clever ears will recognize that the song that's currently playing is a song that was originally made popular by Boba Fett and the Assassins. And yeah, like you guys end up rolling into a table which like sloshes down a bunch of beers, and so beer starts kind of dripping over the tables. Vasya, you see the Tussas like rolling around and giving as well as he's taking with some Zabrak. What do you do about that, Vasya?
Roll my eyes, get another drink. And then grab Nully and go to dance with the band while Tossa deals with this. Because it seems as though this was just purely caused by Tossa being Tossa rather than any actual sort of like beef kind of thing.
Yeah, I think later when we debrief about this, I'm going to be like, boss, he started it.
Yeah, everyone always starts it, Tossa. Everyone always starts it. As long as you finish it, I guess.
Nice. So we'll cut away from Vasya headed out to the dance floor, away from the rumble, and just a quick. I'd love to have just kind of the tag scene at the end is the conversation between Newly and Nebula. So we've got Duracrete walls in this dank alley. You can see Belthu up above, right? Because it's nighttime now, and you hear the crinkle, almost like a clove cigarette type crinkle from the death stick that Nebula draws in on. And are you still mad at me?
I think that so Newly kind of takes a drag and is leaning up, with her hand against the Duracrete, and says, "Well, not as much as I was before. I mean, happens. So
Okay. Cool. I hope Vasya is willing to do what she says she wants to do. You don't always back the right horse.
true. I mean, sometimes it's hard to tell where people's loyalties lie, and Vasya is a risk, but right now it looks like a risk worth taking."
Cool. It's good to see you again. You don't have to deliver that stuff. I'll be happy to swing by the shop.
Well, I got some problems at the shop right now, and I think as a favor, it would not be best if you came by, because I don't want you to get messed up in that stuff.
I would, though. If you
I know you would, but right now, I think it's best if R8 and I handled it on our own, and we'll do our best. And once things get better, maybe we can talk.
All right. Guess that's about all I can ask for now.
Yeah.
She takes another draw from the death stick, and maybe we bring the scene to a close there.
I like the idea that basically, she turns to walk away down the alleyway, and kind of leaves Newly kind of standing there watching her as she walks off into the darkness.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and it gets darker, and then we just see the literal red light of the next draw from the death stick. Cool.
Perfect.
So we've got some end of session questions, and then we'll do a little bit of Rose and Thorns at the end, or sorry, Stars and Wishes, because that's much more fun for everybody. At the end of the session, the authority, that's me, will ask the punks, that's you guys, the following questions, which correspond to the guide to direct action. Did you spread the message of the revolution? I think so. Specifically partnering up punks with lunch, and Vasya setting up the no, let's go meet with the homeless folks. That definitely got it. Did you gain new allies or resources? Yeah, I think so too. Did you interrupt a system of corruption? I'm going to say not yet.
No.
Okay. Did you protect the people from this happening again? I'm going to say not yet as well on those. So that'll be 2 XP for everybody. And then I don't think there are any other end of session things in this game. So then we'll just transition to the outside of MoonPunk's feedback that I love to use, which is Stars and Wishes. We start with wishes. This is the first of 4 sessions. So definitely give me any wishes of things that you'd like to show up, or things you want to engage with, or plot lines that specifically interest you, anything along those lines. And also, if you've got a wish of I'm a little confused by X or Y rule thing, I wish we had some more clarity, then I'll make sure and study up on that so that we can have that conversation at the top of the next session. Also, as a reminder, we will have a 4th player for the 2nd through 4th sessions. So we will be bringing in a new person come next week when we meet. Let's start from the right, heading to the left, starting with wishes, and then we'll do it in snake order. So that means that Francisco, you'll be going start with a wish, then you get to do stars. But Steven, hit us up. What wishes did you have from session 1?
So let me think for just. I'm going to think out loud for a moment. The rules seem very straightforward. I liked all of that. The moves made sense. Oh, I added that I owe Redar, right?
Okay.
And I think that's a major. I don't remember what the acronym stands for.
Tonstoffel, debt, just debt.
Debt, yeah, but there's no free lunch.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So I think I owe him a major one at this point. Is that appropriate?
Sure.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm in debt to him. And the only wish I have, I was thinking about this a little bit. You brought up Alderani Ale, and I'm like, I think Newly probably is trying to grow some of the Alderani wheat to make some ale.
Oh God, that's cool.
So I think she snuck into. I was looking at the domes. There's like a farm dome and an ale dome. I think she's trying to joint together a still, and she's probably got like a little plot of, where she's snuck into the farm dome and planted some stuff, and she's making sure nobody knows about it. So that's her get rich quick scheme.
Oh my God, that's so good.
Yeah, I haven't figured out a way to work that in yet, but I'm going to try.
I will think on ways to work that in because that's delightful. Awesome. Any other wishes, Steven?
No, I think that's it.
Okay. Will, what about you? Wishes?
I guess some corruption or like a serious threat to sabotage and attack, right? Because this is kind of like at the moment, like low stakes civil kind of, you know what I mean? But like something to throw a tosser at, or to like send in a secret mission to destroy and undercut, that kind of, more rebelliousness rather than activism kind of thing.
Yep. Well. That is a great request, and I have stuff ready to go. So I will make sure and put that front and center as soon as possible next week. Very, very cool. Anything else, Will?
No, I really I'm enjoying it so far. I think the nature of Tanstaffel still needs, we'll need to explore that as we go. Like, when does something become a debt that you owe? Do you owe every time you just do something for somebody? That kind of like currency of it, like as up until Stephen said it, it hadn't even occurred to me of like owing a major debt to like an antagonist NPC. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
actually, like the more I think about it, Tonstoffel, to me, is probably like the way the punks get stuff done. So I don't know if you owe Redar, because what you owe Redar is credits. He doesn't give a crap about your word, right? He doesn't like. So you know what? Because you're going to have to pay the 35% you had. I'm going to say you don't owe a debt to Redar because I want to keep it with the punks.
And if I hadn't wronged you as part of the links, right, and this wasn't me doing it right, I was going to suggest that like this would be me getting a minor debt, like we'd roll Tanstaffel for me to do this for you, to like kind of like to incur a debt on you so I could like pull those strings, like mutual assistance kind of stuff. But because we already had an existing one, it just cancelled out, sort of. Do you know, right, that makes sense?
You worked off the debt. As long as Steven's good with it.
Yeah, that sounds good. Is there any Tanstaffel now between us and Nebula and her group? Are we doing a favor? Is there a favor there somewhere?
Well, I agree. It's like influence and Tonstoffel. I'm still trying to suss out my feelings on that, because like if you influence someone and they agree to it, then is that a debt? To me, I was thinking like maybe a 7 is a thing where somebody's going to say, "Yeah, I'll do it for you," but then on a meta level, we say you're going to owe them for it. But a 10 plus is along the lines of like, yeah, sure, I'll probably do that favor, and if you feel like you owe me, then you feel like you owe me. Does that relationship make sense?
Yeah, I think we'll have to play it and find out, right? I just
I
wanted
agree.
to articulate some of that as like the
No, I think that's a really good point, and the stuff that was going on in the back of my mind as I was playing around with things in the game. So yeah, we'll find our favorite way to use it. But thank you,
Yeah.
Will, for bringing that up to make sure, because I think Soundstuff is a neat system. I want to make sure we're engaging with it. So thank you. Cool. Francisco, got any wishes?
Yeah, I have a few. Wishes as far as the game. I'll echo William, and I will also like some chances to sabotage and stick to the man. And then I'm just, I guess I'm like wishing that I'm not getting in the way of like the tone that you had for this. Like I'm bringing in some like real life things into the game, and that can be sometimes dissonant. So that's okay, Rich, and
Oh, I'm
that's okay
perfectly
with
fine.
everybody.
Check in with Will and Steven. You guys okay?
Steven, you guys okay? All right. I don't want to break tone. And I'm I also wish that it's okay that that like usually I play characters that are like really into the politics and or really Pasión de las Pasiones characters, just super intense all the time in every game I play. But like for this one, I'm having fun just playing like the muscle, just kind of, you know, yeah, like that character. Like, is that okay with you guys? That's not breaking tone either. Okay, cool, awesome. I think that's it for me. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Well, now you get to stay on stage and tell us what stars. So this will be highlights of particular other players' play or some aspects or points in the game that you really enjoyed.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I was really excited to play in this game, and it went like it exceeded my expectations. So it's awesome. I was looking forward to playing with all of you guys. Like I've watched a bunch of your videos on YouTube, so this is like a super treat for me. Rich, thank you for like working in my character. I could see the wizard behind the curtain, like you trying, you know, you know, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna make sure that I highlight this character. So thank you for that. William, super cool job, like bringing in something that you wouldn't normally think of, right? Like the politician, and then totally making it work. So I really love that. And then Stephen, I really love how you and I set up the our backstory. I think that's really cool. And then I guess that's also one of my wishes is I hope that you and I get our scenes together to and play off one another. That would be cool.
Yeah, I think we will.
Yeah, awesome. And I yeah, I think that's it. Thank you guys.
Awesome. Thanks, Francisco. Will, what about you? Got any stars?
Is Will frozen?
Will is frozen. He's not moving at all. He's never going to talk in that state.
No.
Oh, no. Steven, we'll jump to you.
So I love these characters. I love the world that's been set up. It's kind of exciting. And he dropped. So to be honest, I had the NPCs tab open, but I didn't have it open all the way, so I didn't know who Nebula 6 was. And I scrolled over and like, oh yeah, that's a great character. And then I saw Possum, on the list. I'm like, these are all awesome. I'm really enjoying how much you're bringing in like the music stuff that you've been posting and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I did a little quick search and found like a ska version of the Star Wars theme. And I'm like, that's bringing so much. I'm like, I played it a little bit in the background while we were going through that last scene. And in the comments, someone said, hello there, General Skanobi. And I'm like, so I like all that music stuff you're bringing into it. It really adds some. And even though Will's not here, I really enjoy his character, like you said, coming from a different direction. But I like how he was able to tie him in and basically say, I'm still fighting for the right, and fighting the man, even though I'm playing like I'm being a man, right? I'm being the authority, but I'm not just working within the system, I'm also working outside the system more so to get to bring down the authority. I thought that was really smart. So this whole system surprised me. At first, I had a little bit of trouble figuring out how the differences between Comrades, which is about the revolution, and Moonpunk, which is about a revolution, sort of, but it's coming at it from a completely different flavor, and
Mhm.
that really helps me a lot. So yeah, I'm digging this.
Good. I'm really happy to hear that. And I think that was a really great question that I hadn't really considered. Like, what is the difference? That was fun to talk through that and then see it in action. So I am very excited about next session. We'll be bringing in that fourth player. That's going to be fun. All around, this is going to be pretty wonderful. Thank you all so much. And thanks to Will and Abstentia, who his internet has gone down. He just confirmed via Slack. So I'll stop the recording here. Thank you all.